Watching the first week of Dragon's Dogma 2's release happen in real time was insane. You had a week before the game release concerns over frame rate and performances, to the reviews coming out and it was getting 10 out of 10 and 9.5 almost across the board from all the outlets, and then the game actually coming out and having a bunch of microtransactions and people requesting refunds. And then there were also issues on PC where the game was just not playable for a lot of players on PC. I'll be honest, it piqued my interest because I had no interest in playing this game before, but after seeing everything, I was like, I gotta pick this up and see for myself. So now that I played it the whole weekend on PS5, how is the game? Is it an early game of the year like most people? Is it 10 out of 10? Is it overhyped? Let's talk about it. Before we get into the review, just a quick thing that every footage and gameplay you're going to see in here was captured either from my Twitch stream or stuff that was below level 20 because I didn't want to spoil anything that happens later on in the game. And as always, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe because I got a bunch more reviews and impressions and gaming videos that are coming. Comment down below what you thought of DD2. Are you playing it? Are you enjoying it? Do you want to get it? All that stuff. And give this video a thumbs up because for some reason that helps the YouTube algorithm. Okay, now let's get into the review. So what did I think of the game? I'll be honest with you guys. When I first started playing, the first couple hours, I was pretty down on it. I didn't really get the hype. I wasn't enjoying the game, but I wanted to keep pushing through and power through and play a lot more just to see if it got better over time and how long it would take before it finally clicked. After playing the first 6 to 7 hours, like I said, pretty down, but I got over 20 hours, and by the end I do feel a lot more positive about the game now than I did when I first started playing it. So let's first start about all the things I liked, and then I'll talk about the things that really bothered me. The first thing is the combat. I think the combat is excellent. There's a lot of different classes in this game, or they call them vocations, and once you find the one that clicks for you, it's going to make a huge difference on how much you enjoy the game. I tried out the mage, I tried the thief, I tried the archer, and normally archer are the ones I like to play the most, but it didn't really feel good in this game. I went over with the fighter and I had a lot of fun with it. I was starting to unlock new abilities as I played through it, and it felt more and more satisfying. And then I unlocked the Mystic Spearhand vocation, and that's when the game really clicked for me. That one was so cool to be able to use the dual spear with a mix of magic. It was so satisfying to use. Every single class has its positives and its negatives. For example, the fighter, you can go up there and attack, and you can block, but that's it. All the other classes cannot block, so that is very difficult to get used to, because if you're used to action adventure games and you're able to block and dodge and counter, not every single class has that in the game, but it is on purpose, so you have to be ready for that stuff. Another thing I really liked are the pawn system. So the pawns in this game are basically your teammates. You all will get to create your first pawn, who is like your main one. They'll be with you for your whole adventure, and that pawn you can give them their own class and everything, and they're going to stick around with you throughout the whole game. And then you can always hire 2 more pawns to join you as you go through it. These pawns can be characters that you find along the way on your adventure, or you can use these rifts that I think it's what it's called, and you go in there and you can just summon them from other players. It's a really cool mechanic because these pawns, because they're playable characters in other worlds, will help you. If, for example, they've already done the quest, they can guide you in certain ways. If they know of a secret place, they'll say like, I know where this is, and you can ask them to guide you to the treasure and everything. It's a really cool system, and being able to build a team that works all together. So if you're, for example, in my case, I was a fighter for most of it, or a Mystic Spearhand, I was getting my pawns to be mages, archers, or anything more long range so that they can help and support me while I was on the front line, which was really cool system. As you change classes, you're going to want to get different pawns that are going to work well with you. The next thing I really liked, and I think this is the one that most people are going to enjoy the most about Dragon's Dogma, is the world itself. It is beautiful. If you guys had any concern on the graphics of the world itself, don't worry, it is gorgeous to look at everywhere you go. The caves, the forest, everywhere you go, it looks really nice. But on top of that, exploring the world is so satisfying. There are things everywhere and so many satisfying things to find, enemies to discover, bosses randomly. I have this one story that I'll probably never forget, that I was walking towards my main mission and all I heard was a giant boom right behind me. When I turn around, I climb up and I see this giant boss trying to cross a river or a bridge for some reason and got stuck. I didn't do anything to make that happen, but I just started fighting this boss and it was so hilarious. Everyone on our Twitch stream were having a blast when that happened. Stuff like that is so unique to this game and it made it really cool. It might just be me, but I didn't feel there was a lot of variety in the enemies so far from what I saw. Maybe I just didn't explore the right way, but it was a lot of repetitiveness in that sense. The bosses though were all really cool and super satisfying, and every time I saw a boss, I wanted to take them on. The challenge was really good. They all have a lot of health bars, so the fights take a long time, but it does fit within the world, and I felt like it was a really cool thing. A couple of the bosses you're gonna fight are just gonna leave, and you're gonna have to fight them more later on. I found that really cool because it adds to the story of your adventure. Another thing I really liked is the questing system in this game. So in this game, when you get into a town or when you're walking around, characters will come to you and will ask you to do the quest for you, and that was really cool. Very different way of unlocking and receiving quests that you can obviously accept or decline, and I really liked how it worked out at the start. But unlocking the quests are really cool. The quests themselves and the reason you're doing them in the story were all so lame to me. I did not enjoy any of the stories that were happening, and this might just be a personal thing for me for sure. Probably some people will really like it, but I was not able to get invested in anything that was happening story-wise in Dragon's Dogma 2. Whether it be the main story or every single side quest, there were maybe one or two that piqued my interest, but overall I found them all to be kind of lame, the reasons as to what we're doing it. The quests themselves were all super fun to do. I loved running around and getting them done, but if you were to ask me right now what the story is about, I wouldn't be able to tell you, because by the 15-hour mark, I just started skipping everything because nothing was interesting. So now we're into the section of the things that I didn't like. Like I just said, the story and the quests are hit and miss for me. On top of that, yes, the world is beautiful, but outside of the world, the graphics and performance of this game is pretty rough. The lip syncing for all the character dialogue was hilariously bad. The blurriness around your characters were quite annoying, and the frame drops when you get into big action scenes or into towns were quite annoying as well. On top of that, Dragon's Dogma 2 made a lot of decisions that they decided is important for the world or the way you want to play the game that I personally found very annoying and I did not enjoy. So a lot of the things I'm about to complain about now are very personal. I want to make it clear that these are intentional game designs by the creators of the game, and a lot of these things might not bother you when you play, but they are things that really made me not want to continue my adventure, even though everything else was positive. So let's get into it, but I wanted to make it clear before people start saying this is intentional. I'm aware it's intentional, they're just things that bother me. The first of these things is the weight system. Like many other RPG games and fantasy games, as you're picking up loot, you're gonna start getting full, and the heavier you are, the slower you are, the less stamina you have, and the more they recommend that you are careful what you pick up and where you're going, and make sure to go back often to your town to drop off and sell all the stuff. This game encourages you to explore and find your own path and go to all these different areas, and a lot of the time I couldn't go to all these places because I was always full and I was way too heavy, and I had to go back to the town. It made for a lot of backtracking where I would go in one direction, find a cave, and instead of continuing forward to the next quest, I always had to come back to the town, sell, drop off, and keep going, and I found that to be quite annoying. A lot of the things like that could be fixed with a fast travel system, which is another intentional game design from them, is to not have fast travel be in the game as a main way of traveling. Yes, there are things that can get you from town to town. There are fairy stones you can find that can teleport you back, but the game is trying to encourage you to not use those. And the problem for me is, if I'm getting really far in one direction, I'm now heavy, and I find another cave, and I gotta ignore that cave. I gotta walk all the way back. It just didn't feel natural, and it kind of felt frustrating to me specifically. And then there's the time of day. So in this game, when you get to a town or whenever you're walking around, there are certain characters or certain things that can only happen during the day or in the afternoon or at night or whatnot. So you got to make sure that you're waiting at the right time to unlock new things. And the idea is pretty cool, except sometimes it's just annoying. So I'll give you an example. One of the main quest givers in the first town you go to, you can only see him at night. So every single time you have to do this exact same thing where you go talk to a character, pass time again, then it's night, then interact with him to get the next quest. I get it. He's there at the bar only at night, but really, I just want to progress the game. I kind of find it annoying that I always have to go do 2 or 3 other steps to be able to continue the quest. Such little things that I get why they did it, but it's so unnecessary. Okay, time for my final thoughts. Now, I did say a lot of negatives there, but I do want to mention and remind everyone that I am much more positive on the game than I am negative. I do think it's a great game, but I do feel like it is a little overrated at the moment. I can't really understand the 10 out of 10 and 9.5 scores that's getting across the board, but that is a personal opinion, and absolutely, if people are loving it that much, I'm really happy for them. I just feel like there's a lot of things here that could be fixed in the long run that will make the game better, but it's just not there yet at the moment. If you're looking for a fantasy action adventure game, this will probably be a must-buy for you right now. But I think overall, there's just so many other games that have come out this year and last year that this to me doesn't feel like a must purchase right away. I absolutely recommend people play this game, but probably wait for a couple patches, some updates, and maybe a sale. I just feel like the performance issues, especially if you're on PC, you should really wait on that one because some people can't even play it. But on PS5 and Xbox, it is playable right now, but it's not smooth. I definitely think that a couple patches and updates will make it better, which they did announce there are patches and updates coming. Now, while this is not an early game of the year for me and probably not a contender because I have a lot of other games I've really enjoyed so far this year, I still think this is a great game. I think the action, the combat, the exploration is absolutely worth it. And the adventure that you will go on if you ignore all the quests and the stories you'll be able to tell are absolutely worth the time. But I don't think you need to rush out and get it right away. And that's the end of my review. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the review, please say something in the comments. That's really nice because I expect the Dragon's Dogma 2 community to absolutely destroy me down there for not agreeing with them and not thinking everything is perfect, because that's what they've been doing to all the reviewers who did not give this game a 9 or higher on the score. So if you want to be nice, I'd really appreciate it down there. And if you're one of those people who's a part of the Dragon's Dogma 2 community who is super upset about this review, don't comment. I don't care. Move on and find someone else. Thank you all for watching. Sorry for the negativity at the end. Take care. Bye-bye.